Come on in the room. What's going on, Sky Squad? We are back in the building with another, what you call it, Dej? A midday ponderosa. Yes, a little midday ponderosa because y'all said that y'all was watching Jersey, or at least some of y'all said that. So I said, let's give it a little go around. So today, while I was at the gym, on that good treadmill, I said, let me go ahead and watch Jersey. I was pleasantly surprised, and we're going to talk about it. But first, I want to welcome all the people in the building. We got Florida's in the house. We got Cali is in the building. We got the DM to the V. Okay. Yes. We got Philly in his house. Jersey. Yes. Let's get into it. Lavon, Texas. Barbados is in the building. I see you. Phoenix. Yes. You did say it was good. Okay. we got Los Angeles in the building, Missouri, London, UK, ATL, St. Louis, London, Brampton, Ohio, DC, Alabama, the Bay Area, Ireland in the building, baby. Yes. We worldwide, y'all. We worldwide up in this piece. Huntsville, Alabama. Yes, off work. Brooklyn in the house. All right, listen. We're gonna get into this tea because I said I would. And we'll see how it goes throughout the season. I'm gonna try to keep up with it because I, like to be consistent. I want for you guys that actually saw the episode to give it a rating in the chatterization down below. And I'm gonna rate this episode. I'm gonna give it an 8.9. All right, I'm gonna give it an 8.9. Let me tell you what I liked about it, and let me tell you what I did not like about it. So first, what do y'all want to start with? Y'all want to start with what I did not like, or do y'all want me to start with what I liked? Chime down. I want to make this interactive. Tell me what you want to hear first, what I liked or what I did not like. The first thing I see is what I'm going to go with. Y'all liked it. Y'all liked it. Y'all want me to tell y'all what I liked or what I didn't like? Let me know. Okay. Oh, all right. So this was the first one I see. All right. So what I liked about it, Misty, I liked that there were new faces. We had 3 new faces. We had Danielle, we had Rachel, and we had Jennifer. I think it's another Jennifer. I think her name is Jennifer Fessler. That's her name, right? I can't remember because she was kind of like an extra. She was Marta's friend. We had a bunch of new faces, which we needed in Jersey to kind of mix up the dynamic. The cool thing about Jersey is everybody is booed up with somebody. Everybody got a man. And what I mean by that, why that's good for this franchise is, I don't want to say it's because everybody got a man, everybody got a partner, because that adds to the mix of people. Long gone are the days when 5 housewives would do the trick. No. A full cast, a full roster is what we need, because in this day and age, we like things that move fast. So that to me added to the flavor, and I never found myself getting bored throughout the episode. All right. Except with one major thing. And we'll talk about that when we get to what I didn't like. All right. So, and then, we still have what's that child? Jackie still floating around on the periphery. So she's still there, although she's barely there because one of the new girls barely acknowledged her. Okay. And it just made me wonder. I was like, hey, new girl, were you told that Jackie was no longer going to be there and that you were going to be replacing her? So you just didn't even bother to look at her while you was talking to him? Anyway. So I like that. To me, I also like that this episode had like 3 major events in the episode. Did y'all know that? Yes, especially especially since the men are heavily involved. I love that about this show. Now they had 3 major events, which I thought was pretty. I mean, to have squoze all of that into one episode, it makes me feel like the season is going to be condensed probably to about 14 to 15 episodes because that's what Jersey typically does, which I don't mind because it means that there's never really a filler episode, right? So, um, am I saying the Housewives franchises need a village? Well, I'm saying that the longer a franchise has been on the air, the better it is, I think, to mix things up with a bunch of new people so we can see who really pans out. It seems to me like they're testing. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's see who really comes in and makes up and shakes things up. In addition to the fact that we finally have 7 full-time housewives on this show. I think that's phenomenal because Jersey has never had 7 full-time wives. And I feel like we're in a day and an age now where we are starting to see 7 as a bit of the standard in most of the franchises, right? So again, right. So much happened in this episode. And yes, Tracy was there in the background as well. It was like a who's who of Jersey. All we were missing were Kim D, Kim G, and a posh fashion show. Because 3 events happened in this episode. So I did like that. And having 3 events in the episode meant that the episode moved extremely fast. Like it was fast paced. Fast. And I liked that about the show as well. Another franchise that used to move really fast like that was New York City. Back in its heyday, season 7 through about 11. So that was exciting to see. Now, let's get into what I did not like. Okay. What I did not like was the fact that we are yet again in another season of seeing Teresa versus Melissa and Joe. And versus handling whatever issues that Teresa has with her brother, she transfers those issues over to Melissa. I get it. You still resent the fact that Melissa went behind your back to get on the show, allegedly, right? I just kind of feel like um I just I just don't I'm just not interested in this anymore. You know, how long are we going to have to deal with this unresolved family conflict that to me just seems so tired and played out, right? I'm over it. I'm so over it. I don't really care. That's right. It is old, pale, and stale. And the thing about it is, you know that Teresa is never going to like the fact that they're on this show. That's the bottom line for this whole situation. And I don't care how you try to slice it and dice it, that is the root of their issues. Period. Period. That's it. Everything that they go through, it stems from that. And Teresa, again, also, like Jennifer, demands unyielding loyalty. Okay. And they need to be at her beck and call as she sees it to be fit. Period. So that's, again, what I did not like. So let's get into the episode. Um, I'm gonna kind of jump around because I didn't make notes per se, but I did note several scenes that I felt like were important. You know, Teresa has moved in with Louie, and their family is, you know, she's being embraced by his family, and she even goes so far as to say that, you know, his family has filled in the void where her family is no longer, right? We see Joe and Melissa, you know, kind of still commiserating over the things that Teresa said about them at last season's reunion. You know, calling her brother a little B, okay? And again, this goes back to regardless of whatever Teresa feels about them getting on the show, they're on the show. And the fact of the matter is, you still called your little brother a little B, okay? I don't know how you feel like he's supposed to be okay with that, but yet it's Melissa's fault. So what you're telling me is this: you expect to be able to say whatever about this man, call him all kinds of names, And it is his wife's fault that he's not sitting there and taking it and letting you say and do whatever you want to do to him. Okay, I got it. I completely understand it. Um, Teresa has a birthday party. She has invited Melissa and Joe over to the party, but Melissa and Joe are not going. Kudos to them. Because I think at a certain point you do need to you need to cut off toxic relationships where they breathe. Okay. And it's a toxic situation for Teresa to not respond to Melissa's text messages, though Teresa hopped up on her podcast and said, I've given birth on this show. I've gotten married on this show. I've gotten divorced on this show. I've gone to jail on this show. We are not the same. You are right. Because ultimately, at this point in time, without this show, who are you? The show cannot be all that you are. It can't be. And that is the reason why I said you are still mad that this girl came on the show that you felt like was yours. Anyway, if I were also, and Melissa and Joe have a part to play in this as well. Melissa and Joe have to become okay with not being a part of this girl's life. They give her way too much shine because at the end of the day, they can't keep going into scenes worried about whether or not she's going to be there or not. Who really cares? It's like 16 other players on the board. Y'all got enough to do and to work with that you don't have to. Teresa don't got to interact with Joe and Melissa. Melissa and Joe don't got to interact with Teresa. Period. Bottom line. Teresa only responded to Melissa to invite her to the party because she knew it was being filmed, in my opinion. Okay. And that's that on period. Melissa is having a skating party to which she did invite Teresa. It's like an 80s skating party. All the girls are going to be there. The other beef that's brewing is Dolores versus Jennifer. Now, I believe that this beef is more contrived on Jennifer's part because to me, I feel like Jennifer has discovered that she becomes more popular when she's in conflict. Now, this becomes a problem for housewives later on down the line because what it means is if you only work well on a show in conflict, that means you have to keep conflict going. There are certain people that can become mainstays on a show without ever having to be in the center of conflict, right? Or without ever having to start the conflict, in my opinion. In my opinion. I feel like Jennifer is pushing this narrative of Dolores not being a good friend because I don't think that Dolores was a bad friend last season. I think that Dolores was an honest friend. And what Jennifer requires is another foot soldier in the name of Teresa. Like the way that Jennifer is a foot soldier for Teresa, I feel like Jennifer is demanding that Dolores be the same for her. That's just my opinion. A baby Teresa. And so the drama does feel contrived, but the great thing about Jennifer versus Dolores is that Dolores does need to be activated. Dolores is she's kind of like a candy in the sense that if you don't start none, it won't be none. But once you start some with Dolores, she's gonna rise to the occasion. Okay? So they spend the majority of the episode ducking and dodging each other at all of these various events, right? Ducking and dodging, ducking and dodging. And it is, again, nice to see at Melissa's event, everybody comes out. You know, there's still tension between Joe and Teresa. There's tension with Melissa and Teresa. There's still lingering tension between Teresa and Margaret, although Teresa, who has been going to therapy, wants to talk to Margaret. And so she invites Margaret over for a private ponderosa with just Joe and Louie and the four of them. So Margaret's going to go. All right. Margaret's going to go. Meanwhile, again, you know, Dolores and Jennifer continue to circle around each other until Dolores tells Jennifer, "Hey, girl, I want you to come up, bring your man, because we doing a calendar photo shoot, and I don't want to leave your man out, even though I'm not really talking to you, okay? But I want you to come on over." And Jennifer's like, "So that's all you got to say? You're not really trying to have a ponderosa? Okay, I'll bring my man to your event. Fine." So we get to Teresa and Louie's house. You know, there are moments when I like Louie, and then there are moments when I don't. I'm going to tell you moments where I like Louie. When Margaret and Joe get there, they go outside and they're in the back having a charcuterie board, okay? And Teresa and Margaret try to have a conversation. It's more or less Margaret is trying to talk and Teresa keeps interrupting her. Okay? Teresa just it's all like they can't even have a conversation because, and you can see, here's the thing, you can see Margaret trying her hardest to tiptoe around an already explosive Teresa. All right. She is literally trying to tiptoe and trying to understand, like, okay, what, like, how you last season you was going off of me. And Teresa was right, at least, I mean, and Teresa was right to a certain degree. Like, girl, you was talking about my man. You was asking too many questions about my man. But again, the news was already talking about your man. So Teresa's thing was, you're supposed to be my friend. You're not supposed to be talking about me. Show me love. Follow me like I want you to do, and we will be fine. As Margaret is trying to talk, Teresa is over talking to her, and Louie has to tell her, like, girl, slow your roll. Let Margaret talk. Like, you ain't even letting he basically has to quiet her down. These are the moments where I like Louie, because I feel like, oh, in that moment, he feels good for her. So Margaret, for whatever reason, asked about Melissa and Joe Gorga. Why, Margaret? Why? Well, I know why. I'll tell you why in a minute, because Margaret gonna spill the tea. But until then, I'm like, Margaret, that ain't really, you need to just work on getting you and Teresa straight first before you try to tackle Teresa and Melissa, because that's a whole nother can of worms, a whole cemetery that you don't need to dig into today. So here's where I don't like Louie. So as Teresa is talking about Joe and Melissa and why she feels like Melissa did her dirty last year by reading her text message where she told, Melissa, I don't want the group talking about Louie. And Melissa went back and repeated that to the group. Louie starts calling Melissa insecure and all of these other things. And I'm just kind of like, here's the thing. Louie gets a little too loose with the lips for me. And the reason I say that is because in my relationship, I could talk about my sister. I can talk about my parents. You cannot talk about my sister. You cannot talk about my parents. Okay? Let's get that clear. And that's just I feel like that's just the code. You know what I'm saying? If we together and I complain to you about my sister or my brother or my parents, you should just sit there and nod and listen. Okay? You don't start chiming in, calling my sister or my brother insecure, a little B. You don't say none of that. You don't say none of that. And so again, Louie then got a little too comfortable with disparaging her brother and her sister-in-law. And I feel like that ain't cool, bro. You don't gotta like them, but at the end of the day, what you will do is respect the relationship. She can complain and vent about them because that's, I mean, they done been there for some years. You just got here, sir. And that's just how it is. So I don't really like that about him. Like I be feeling like he be too quick to insult some people because in the name of Teresa, and I'm like, bro, you just got here. You just started to go here. Like these situations has been 10 years, a decades deep. At this point in time, we know more than you know. So you need to step out. Okay? So anyway, the next event that's being had is the calendar photo shoot that Dolores is having as a fundraiser, and she's having it at Margaret's house. So you know, of course, Margaret's assistant is there. They got the photographers there. Everybody arrives. The men's all get half naked, and you know they taking their photos and stuff like that, and getting oiled up and greased up, however you like them. Okay. So while they're there taking photographs, Melissa and Joe arrives, and of course, Margaret takes them off to the bike. And Margaret's like, well, since you didn't know, I had a conversation with Teresa at her house and we kind of made up. But here's the real tea. She she still feel a certain type of way about the two of y'all, and Louie called you insecure, Melissa. So Melissa is just kind of like incensed in this moment because she's like, they tried to, look out for Teresa and Louie last year with the group. And now, as soon as Louie gets an opportunity, she feels like he's now taking shots at her. So they take it kind of well and they kind of just let things be. Even though at the photo shoot, Teresa and Joe didn't really talk at all. I didn't really see much interaction with Teresa and Melissa either. But the major drama that's brewing is Jennifer is going around and talking to people about, this whole situation with Dolores. So she ends up talking to Rachel, who is Melissa's new girlfriend, okay? And she tells her and somebody else. It was some people that I felt like I don't know who you are. And so anyway, she's telling them all about the situation. And Rachel is like, well, if Dolores, if you and Margaret were having issues and if you were chastising Margaret for cheating and then Margaret came back at you, I mean, it feels like y'all were kind of even. And so Jennifer, of course, does not like this because Jennifer does not like anybody telling her the truth about herself. So at that point, she shushes Rachel up real quick and she continues her story on to the next girl. So meanwhile, after she leaves, Rachel goes and talks to Melissa and Jackie, and she relays to Melissa what Jennifer had just told her about Dolores. Now, Rachel's fatal mistake is she don't look at Jackie at all, okay? And Jackie is like, you're not even looking at me in this conversation. Hello, I'm still here. I'm still on the show in some kind of way. And the girl, Rachel, is like, listen, girl, I ain't been filming long, okay? It's a lot happening in this house. And you want me to look at you, not look at the camera, talk to Melissa, get the tea from Jennifer? Listen, I have got things to do. I don't have time to focus on you, Jackie. No. Let me learn. Let me learn, girl. Okay? So I was like, poor Jackie, justice for Jackie. Anyway, so finally, Dolores decides to pull Jennifer off to the side. She pulls off to the side and they get into an argumentation about, whether or not Dolores was a good friend to Jennifer or not. Bottom line is, we all know that Dolores was a good friend to Jennifer. What we also know is that Dolores also told Jennifer the truth about herself. What we also too know is that Jennifer don't like hearing the truth about herself. And thus, now Dolores is public enemy number one. I was really surprised at the way she was coming at Dolores, because I'm thinking to myself, wait, where? I thought that Dolores was a former prison guard from the Patterson. And I feel like, in my mind, I'm shocked that she bent her in two. But she does not. And she basically tells her, okay, well, we're not friends. You know, I'm not trying to be friends with somebody like you if that's how you're going to be. And so Jennifer is literally going off on her. And so then they kind of take it back to the group. So as Jennifer is going off, her husband comes up and he's trying to calm her down. And she's like, shh, don't tell me to shush. And she's talking to him all kinds of crazy. I guess she getting back at him for cheating on her 20 years ago. So she get to talking and going off on him and storming her way out the house and screaming and whatnot. And as she's screaming and heading out the door, she has the nerve to call Dolores. Call Dolores say her face looked like an old handbag. Not an old handbag. You cannot be talking about Black Dolores like that, okay? I can't stand for it. I can't stand for it. I won't. I won't. I won't. Okay? I won't. You're not going to call Dolores an old handbag as you're at the car. Because my thought is, would you have called her an old handbag to her facial? Okay? Would you have said that to her face while you were standing in front of her face? Because I guarantee you would have bent over on the floor, okay? On the floor. Both legs might have been broken at that point. I don't know. But I don't think you ought to be talking to Black Doors like that while you outside, right? If you can't say it to her face, don't say it outside while you at the car and the car revving up. Okay, the car revving up, and you look like an old handbag, you know, and it's like, nobody heard you, girl, except for the camera. I don't think Dolores heard you until she saw the show, and now you at a good enough distance. Okay, talking about Black Dolores like that, you better get out of here. So we end on a to be continued. Okay, a to be continued until next week. So we ain't getting no preview or nothing like that. So we'll just have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see. She said an old handbag in the face. Not an old handbag. Do you know that's something old wrinkled up? That's like you see this? That's like saying her face looked like this. You know what I'm saying? Like, how are you gonna say somebody's face look like that? Okay, you can't say that. That ain't right. And then screaming while the car revving up, so you can make yourself a little getaway while you limping into the car, girl. Anyway, y'all know we like to have a little fun on this channel, so don't mind me. Don't take what I'm saying personally. But I was frustrated. I was, okay. Not an old Louie bag. Okay. So that was our first Jersey episode. Hopefully y'all enjoyed. I feel like we'll do it again. We'll see what's happening. We'll take it week by week. You know, we'll take it week by week. You know, don't trust me on doing it all season, but we're gonna try. We're gonna try. I is. So with that being said, y'all know I love y'all, and I will catch you in the next video.